So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video where today we're gonna take a quick look at the Incarnon variant of the Vasto Prime. You can get the Incarnon adapter for the Vasto Prime from the Steelpath version of the Circuit game mode. Once you have the adapter, and the Vasto of course, you can bring them over to Cavallero in the Chrysalith to combine them. But this will also take 20 Pathos Clamp, which you get from the Auroran boss fight, 70 Yeo Shrubs, which is a plant that grows in the snowy section of the Paradox, as well as 150 Sagan Pearls. This will unlock the weapons in Incarnon mode. You build the Incarnon meter by headshotting enemies, and once you have any level of charge you can press the secondary fire button to activate it. In this mode the weapon gains considerably better crit stats and it fires a 6-round burst. It's basically the secondary fire from Pandero. It's very limited on ammo though. Even with a full Incarnon meter you're only gonna be able to get off 4 bursts. Now, before you're able to take full advantage of the Incarnon Genesis, you're of course gonna have to do a few things to evolve it. This is done by firstly doing a solo mission with the Vasto Prime, then killing 100 enemies with its Incarnon mode, and finally killing 30 enemies while airborne. The evolution options are actually some of my favorites so far. So for the first one you have a choice between Long Gun, which gives you damage, and then if you don't have a primary equipped you get more damage and magazine capacity, and Death Trap Trigger, which gives you damage, and then when you switch to the weapon from a primary weapon you get a massive crit chance and damage buff for 3 seconds. The second evolution has you choose between Extended Volley, which increases your magazine capacity by 6, Marksman's Hand, which reduces the weapon's recoil by 50%, and Awakened Readiness, which reloads 20% of the weapon's magazine per second when it's holstered. And last but definitely not least, we have a choice between Commodore's Fortune for a bunch of crit, Survivor's Edge for crit and status, and Reaper's Plenty, which on a headshot gives you 100% ammo efficiency for 2 seconds. Personally, I went for a combination of Long Gun because I'm more likely to not have a primary than to constantly be switching between guns, Marksman's Hand for the weapon recoil, and then Survivor's Edge for crit and status. This is very much a personal preference though, which is kind of what I really like about this weapon, because you can build it in any way you want. You have loads of options with the evolutions. For example, you can make it into a true sidearm that you just switch into, you let off a couple of shots with a massive crit bonus, and then you holster it once the buff runs out and you let it reload itself while it's holstered. It's very cool. Now for the build I have a pretty straightforward hybrid here. We have Creeping Bullseye for crit because you can't aim down sights with the Incarnon mode, so Galvanized Crosshairs isn't all that good. Then we have Prime Target Cracker for crit damage, Galvanized Diffusion and Lethal Torrent for fire rate and multi-shot, followed by Galvanized Shot for a bunch of status, then Maim to boost our slash, and finally Pistol Pestilence and Frostbite for Viro. I'm also running secondary Merciless for damage and reload speed. Now the Vasto Prime is actually doing really well with just the evolution buffs alone, which is a good thing because while the Incarnon mode is absolutely ridiculous, it's some of the highest burst single target damage you're gonna get in this game, it is very limited, which is a bit of a shame. I think it would be nice if the ammo efficiency on the third evolution actually affected Incarnon mode as well, but it doesn't seem to affect it at all. It would give you another way to build the weapon, you know, a more Incarnon focused one. Now, even though I wouldn't necessarily recommend you prioritize the Vasto Prime for the Incarnon Genesis, it's actually one of my favorites because of just the different mechanics and evolutions and all the different things you can do with it. But that is because I generally prefer cool weapons over weapons that just do raw, brutal damage. Though with that said, this weapon has damage plenty, like a well-placed burst will damn near one-shot an Acolyte. So while I wouldn't necessarily classify this as the best weapon in the game, it is one of the best sidearms. Like if you're running an AoE primary and you need a bit of chunky single target, this is a pretty good weapon to go for. So again, I wouldn't necessarily recommend you prioritize this, but I would recommend you pick it up at some point. And that is pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it helpful. If you'd like to support the channel, you can check out the memberships down below, Pluggo, etc. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.